Hello guys, welcome to the channel, and if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And so let's look at why God is cursing Kenyans. Let me read a verse, and we see about this verse and the reason why God is cursing Kenyans. And the main reason is actually they don't want to seek God. And some of these reasons contributing to this are fake pastors. So let's read a verse here. Matthew 7:15 to 20 warns to identify them by their fruit, actions, teachings. Nothing that a corrupt tree cannot bring good fruit. 2 Peter says, this is chapter 2, verse 1 to 3, predicts false teachers will secretly introduce destructive heresies and exploit people with feigned words for greed. 2 Corinthians, sorry guys, I don't know if I spelled that one right. 2 Corinthians 11:13 to 15 describes them as false apostles, deceitful workers. Listen, false apostles, deceitful workers, disguised as servants of righteousness. Describes them as false apostles, deceitful workers disguised as servants of righteousness. 2 Timothy 4 verse 3 to 4, it says, warns of a time when people will not endure sound doctrine, but instead seek teachers who will tell them that they want to hear. And this is this 2 Timothy 4 verse 3 to 4. Kenyans want to hear what they want to be told to hear. I don't know if that makes sense. So I'll read the scripture again. 2 Timothy verse 4, 3 to 4. Warns of a time when people will not endure sound doctrine. It's like when you speak the truth, they don't want to hear, but they want to hear what they want to hear. But instead seek teachers who will tell them that they want what they want to hear. Pastors with big beards who there's one guy in Kenya who you have to sweep the streets for him to pass, and that's a man of God. He's not even humble enough. People literally, his servants have to wash, and I call them his servants because if I have to wash the streets for a human being to pass, I don't know what's wrong with people. And this is why I can see God cursing Kenyans. How can you wash the streets for a human being who doesn't give you life? And you say you know God. And these are the reasons why God is cursing Kenyans. So I have a few videos here. We are, let me put them on so we can see some of the reasons why God is cursing Kenyans. And yeah, so let's go to these videos and stay tuned.
Pastors all over the world have realized that they can no longer lie to this generation. After all years of deceit, they've resorted to now tell you the truth, but it's you who is not listening. It was said long ago that you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free.
Wewe uko na uwezo wa kwenda mbele za Mungu na kupata majibu. Usikubali kununua maombi. Usikubali kudanganywa na vitu. Unaanza kununua maji hapa, unaambiwa sijui wewe unamwaga ingine unaoga naye. Waache hiyo sarakasi, italeta mapepo.
And what did they tell you about money making and wealth?
You can make money whether you have Jesus or not. You can make mad money.
You don't need Jesus to be rich.
Oh, God will do it. God will do nothing. When people want to hide under religion and laziness, they say God will do it. I'm believing God. My friend, do something. Those who are not wise always say, I know God will do it.
Whoa.
If you follow the Bible to make money, you'll be poor all your life. That's why the poorest people are in church.
You don't need Jesus to be rich.
When you discover the laws of God, you don't need to pray.
Tell us how you got rich.
I'm giving you a secret now. My prosperity in my life, I never prayed for it. I own my own jet. My house is paid for. All cars paid for. I have no debt. I have all of these properties. God's been good. I never prayed once
Oh, okay.
The point is, what happens on earth doesn't really depend on God. It depends on you.
And why are the rich not coming to church?
Successful people have stopped going to church. You know why? We are wasting their time. We really are wasting their time. We carry our superstitious living derived from our insecurities, and you are talking to someone who is an employer of 5,000 people who loves the Lord with all his heart, and you are teaching him foolish things from the Bible.
Cut the long story short. Is Jesus coming back?
They are waiting for the return of Jesus. Where is he returning from? Where is he returning from? The one who lives inside of you, where will he be returning from? You see, most people think the heaven will crack open one day and we will see Jesus descending. You will wait and wait forever. That will never happen.
Okay, is there heaven?
God does not live in heaven. So that's why your goal should not be heaven. If your goal is heaven, it's a stupid goal. Everybody, Genesis 1:1, 1, 2, go. In the beginning, God created. Now hold on. If there was a day when God created heaven and earth, where was he before that day? Anywhere he was, that is where he is.
Okay. What about those who go to church almost every day or 3 to 4 times a week and pray as many times as they want?
Don't mind some of these overzealous men of God who are telling you they are praying for 13 hours, 18 hours, and make you feel guilty. Any man who prays for 13 hours is jobless. Any man who prays 13 hours every day has no economic value he's adding to his generation.
Will God favor you just because you are a Christian?
I think if you've accepted Christ, he must be doing you a favor every day. Christianity is not about God doing you favors.
And what about connecting ourselves to the altars? Are there any powers in those altars?
I hear phrases, people use things, I'm tapping into this altar. Which altar? Which altar are you tapping into? There's no anointing in this altar. There's nothing here. Nothing here. It's nice. It helps me to stand nicely. But there's no power here. No power whatsoever. There's no power in this thing. No power whatsoever. Zero power.
Eventually, they have told you the truth that they've hid from you for so many years. They lied to your grandparents, they lied to your parents, but this generation, they cannot lie to. You cannot hide the truth for so long. This generation demands the truth and nothing but the truth. And mark you, we are not saying that there is no God. God is there, the maker of everything, the whole universe that we see. But the pastors have taken advantage of us for a long time. It's time for them to go and look for other jobs to do.
I'm here in Nairobi, the capital of the East African nation of Kenya. Kenya has become a spiritual battleground over the issues of sexuality, comprehensive sexuality education and abortion, with the West pouring in money into NGOs in Kenya in order to corrupt the people and to change the laws. They're interfering in the internal affairs of Kenya. We're going to find out who they are and who's funding them. So this is Amboseli Road in Nairobi, in posh Lavington, and over there is number 849. That is the headquarters of the Kenya Human Rights Commission. It was headed until recently by the ebullient George Kigoro. He's now left to join the Open Society Foundations, and curiously enough, in 2016, Open Society Foundations gave the Kenya Human Rights Commission $160,000. Now, it started as a real human rights organisation, but in 2011 it went pro-gay, and that is when the money started pouring in. The Ford Foundation gave them $1 million in 2012, and the money hasn't stopped. Recently, the Sigrid Rousing Trust in the UK gave them £405,000, spaced over 3 years. So being pro-gay in the eyes of these foreign funders is a good thing if you want to raise money. And that's what they've been doing. And of course they've been joining in with every action to overturn the anti-sodomy provisions in the Kenya Penal Code. So I'm outside Rosami Court in Moringa Road, inevitably in Nairobi's posh Lavington. These are the headquarters of Uhai Ishri. Uhai is the Swahili for life, and Ishri stands for the East African Sexual Health and Rights Initiative. Now, this fairly newly formed organisation bills itself as the only indigenous funding apparatus for East Africa. But of course, this claim of theirs to be an indigenous funding operation is, as you might have guessed, economical with the truth. Their turnover is in the millions, but they're raising it from, here we go, Arcus Foundation from Michigan, USA, Astrea Lesbian Foundation for Justice from New York, Bearing Foundation, based in London, they gave them $760,000. The Ford Foundation has given them $1,765,750. Give Out London, founded by a Cambridge graduate, has given them money. They give no details. Uhai give no details. The Tides Foundation from San Francisco in the States. This is a foreign agent operating here in Nairobi, Kenya, advocating pro-sodomy and pro-CSC policies, interfering in the internal affairs of a sovereign nation. So these are, or were, the premises of PEMA, People Marginalised and Aggrieved, it stands for. Now, they are marginalised, or so they say, because they want to commit acts of depravity which are forbidden by Kenyan law, and so they are aggrieved. They are marginalised, so they say, but they can afford posh premises in one of the poshest parts of Mombasa, Nyali. So that money's coming from somewhere, and it's not coming from Kenya. They are supported very well indeed by the Arcus Foundation in the United States of America. And Arcus tell us what they're doing. They're engaged in strategic litigation. In other words, they're trying to change the law to decriminalise acts of sodomy in Kenya. The other thing that they are doing is they insinuate themselves into government-run committees on HIV, meetings with pastors and imams, and they keep quiet about homosexuality, maybe for the first 2 or 3 meetings, and then they start to come out and they start to browbeat the pastors and the imams into accepting their way of life. So all of a sudden they have what they call allies amongst the pastors and the imams, who then start advocating for them. It's an insidious process, and it's all being done with money from the West. In other words, this PEMA is nothing more than a foreign agent. So this is the big one. This is a National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission in Arboretum Drive, just off State House Road here in Nairobi. Don't worry, it's not a commission in any sense of the word. It's just a bunch of homosexual activists supported by money from the West. They engage in strategic litigation, high-profile public interest litigation on education and decriminalisation of consensual same-sex conduct. They have a full-time staff of 6 lesbians, headed by one Jerry Gateru, and they feel they have to announce the pronouns of them all. Yeah, they're all she, her, since you ask. Then they have an advisory council of another 6 people. One of them, Dr. Brian Bichanga, is busy lobbying professional bodies. So they have their feelers out into everything. They're also lobbying members of Parliament on equality. Who are they funded by? American Jewish World Service, the Arcus Foundation, the Astrea Lesbian Foundation for Justice in New York, the Canadian High Commission, would you believe, the Church World Service from New York, COC Netherlands, which claims to be the oldest existing LGBT organisation in the world. They're funded by the Council for Global Equality in Washington, Diakonia in Sweden, the Equal Rights Trust in London, Frontline AIDS in Brighton, the Danish Family Planning Association, Give Out in London. They're funded by the Heinrich Böll Foundation in Germany, Global Action for Trans Equality, so they have their fingers in trans promotion as well, the Human Rights Watch from New York, Human Dignity Trust in London, International National Trans Fund in Canada, Iranti Org in South Africa, the Kios Foundation in Finland, who gave them €172,000 from 2023 to 26, Open Society Foundations in Washington, Outright International, the Tides Foundation from San Francisco, USA, the Sigrid Rousing Trust from London, inevitably, and the Wellspring Philanthropic Fund. Oh yes, I forgot, Uhai Ishri. It is happening all over Africa. There is not one pro-sodomy NGO anywhere in Africa, Asia or the Caribbean which is not supported completely solely by money from the West. So here in the UK we're going to find just one of the Western foundations pouring money into promoting wickedness across the developing world. And here it is. This is the headquarters of the Sigrid Rousing Trust in London's Holland Park, number 12 Penzance Place. Inauspicious building. You wouldn't even know that it was the Sigrid Rousing Trust from the information on the door. They ploughed something like almost £6 million into those pro-sodomy NGOs in Kenya alone over the past 10 or 11 years. We're talking about groups like the Kenya Human Rights Commission, £640,000 since 2019. The Kenyans, £580,000 since 2021 alone. National Committee Human Rights Defenders have received £1,395,000 since 2019 alone. Inanda, Mombasa-based pro-sodomy group, £375,000 since 2018. Uhai Ishri, the funding group, have received £2 million sterling since 2013. Last but not least, the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission have received £755,000 since 2017. So in the last year alone, Sigrid Rousing Trust have ploughed £135,000 into the Kenya Human Rights Commission, £160,000 into Kenyans, £250,000 into Human Rights Defenders, £65,000 into Inanda, £250,000 to Uhai Ishri, and to the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission, no less than £100,000 sterling. That's a total of £960,000 in 1 year alone. Not shillings, pounds sterling. And Sigrid Rousing Trust is just one of the foreign foundations of foreign governments pouring money into NGOs promoting sodomy in Kenya. No wonder this lot have so much money they can afford the strategic litigation they're doing to try to overturn righteous Kenyan law. Time does not even permit us to look at organisations like the Gay and Lesbian Coalition of Kenya, GALC, funded by all the usual suspects who don't even give their land address nor publish their accounts. Doesn't allow us to expose INEND, the Initiative to End Discrimination, which has given money to motorcycle riders, the border as they call them here, to wear their t-shirts. Money has changed hands, and it's Western money because INEND again is funded by the Sigrid Rousing Trust, as we know that they've made them wear their t-shirts because of a picture published on the Sigrid Rousing Trust website. The important point is that we've only found out about the funding from those Western foundations which are honest enough to publish their accounts and show who their recipients are. That's Sigrid Rousing Trust, Ford Foundation, to a certain extent the Bering Foundation. All the others are just so secretive with their money, and the NGOs here, if they publish their accounts at all, which the NGLHRC last did in I think 2022, they just list their income as a blanket, in their case 54 million Kenyan shillings, without naming any of their donors. So they're not transparent, and transparency is the key here. We need to know who is funding them and how much money they're receiving, and if they're receiving nearly all of their money from the West, then they are a foreign agent, make no mistake about that, and they are all interfering in the internal affairs of Kenya. This is Stephen Green for Christian Voice in Nairobi, Kenya.